This show is not afraid to get real, but I always wonder in shows and movies like this, like, why do they never show, like, the after portion? You know, like after sex. Not that it's the most appealing thing in the world, but it would feel more real and awkward. Never mind. Don't do that. What is up, Netflix fans? Welcome back to my channel. Sex Life is now on Netflix. We're talking about every single show or movie that drops on streaming, so we're going to talk about this today. I was finally able to finish the series, and I need you in the comments down below. Did you enjoy this passionate and steamy show? Is this the kind of series for you? And if it's not, well, that's what it is. Let's do it. So what is Sex Life other than what I believe could be like the next thing on Netflix, like 365 Days? It's the story of a love triangle between a woman, her husband, and her past that takes a provocative new look at female identity and desire. Sarah wasn't always this stay-at-home wife and mother living in the suburbs. Before she married a loving and reliable Cooper, love Cooper, he's a good guy, and moved to Connecticut, she was a free-spirited wild child living in New York City with her best friend Sasha, working hard and playing even harder. Exhausted from taking care of her two young kids and feeling nostalgic for her past, Billy starts journaling and fantasizing her passionate exploits with sexy ex-boyfriend Brad, the big heartbreak she never got over. So as this show continues, she's remembering more and more, and the more she wonders how she got here, her husband begins to find out certain things. First of all, if you're logging these kinds of details, be more strategic. That's my advice. But too late. I guess we wouldn't have a show without that. Will the truth about Billy's past start a sexual revolution in her marriage, or lead her down a path back to the life she thought she left behind with the man who broke her heart? I mean, you just read that premise and you're hearing about what this show is, and it's like the ultimate will she, won't she, will he, won't he, the love triangle, even though Brad's just kind of like, I'm not doing anything now. I used to do something, but I'm just over here in the background. She's the one fantasizing. And then, of course, she has her friend Sasha, who she is describing. It kind of reminded me of Sex and the City, how they would talk about all of these sexual encounters. And it feels real in that regard. And this entire show, while very steamy, very passionate, and kind of softcore in a way, if that's the kind of show that you enjoy, and there's so many fans of shows and movies like that. I don't like 50 Shades. I don't like 365 Days, but the fan base is huge. And while I will be completely honest with you, this kind of show is not my cup of tea, but when you're reviewing something, you have to come across or attempt to judge it in the most non-biased way possible. So I always give something like this a chance. I gave 50 Shades a chance. I'm going to give this a chance. And even though it still made some mistakes and did some things, and it was a bit much for me at times, in terms of the tone, it attempts to do certain things that may come across as cheesy at times, and the decision-making, which we'll get into. I just did the decision-making. But the actual way it was put together and constructed, and the fact that it feels so real at times, and, you know, sometimes in terms of the steamy elements that we get in some of those scenes, it's put together very well. It's a show that is at least competent, and it feels more real than others in the genre, and that's something I have to give kudos to. That's something I have to respect. Not only that, but dealing with topics that will resonate with a lot of people, becoming complacent in whether it be your relationship or your marriage, and, you know, sometimes you do lose that spark. I've been in relationships before. They continue to move, but the spark was gone a long time ago. Not now. I love my wife, and I hope she loves me back. Wait a second. She just bought a journal. Daggone it. Everything's good. But in all honesty, there were certain things about some of these characters, the way that they would process information, and, you know, feeling complacent is one thing, but then kind of ignoring the good things that you have and making selfish decisions, which does come into play here. That's something that, you know, even though I can't say the writing is extremely poor, because the decision-making, I guess, does kind of fit in the universe that they've established, I just wasn't really on board with a lot of the things that our main character does. The thing about this show is I'm watching it and I'm thinking to myself, you know, nice guys do indeed finish last. And that's part of the frustration for me. And this guy who, you know, you see at the beginning of the show, Seems like the perfect husband can't really do anything else except for finish last. So, not my cup of tea. Sarah's really good in the role as Billy, and she has to do a lot with her body and delivering on the dialogue. She does a great job. But what they write for her in certain instances, and just the frustration that not everyone will have, but that, I had for her character, and then how we end off with this show, the way that it all kind of wraps up, I just wasn't entirely on board with it, even though I can understand why others will have a great time. And it's a very bingeable show. I mean, it's such an easy, it's a series that never becomes dull. I mean, just the first episode, she's, spending time with the kids, and the husband comes home and he's perfect, and she's talking about how this guy was literally molded from the hands of Jesus Christ himself. And then she starts, going through all of these things in her head in the flashbacks, and what some people are signing up for when they're watching this, you're absolutely going to get that. And the show is going to deliver on it in that way. So I think a lot of enjoyment will come more so from the steamy moments than the script itself. And again, the ending was so frustrating, and certain moments were frustrating in decision-making. But I can't say it just dives down to the level and it's on that poor quality level of some of these other shows and movies, because it is competent enough, in my opinion. And the way it's made, edited, I think the pacing was really good. So this show's got some good things. And again, it's going to appeal. I just realized I put my glasses on to read the summary. And you guys are probably like, he wasn't wearing glasses, and now he's wearing glasses. So I think it all depends on what you want from a show like this. Do you want something that is steamy and sexual and tugging on your emotions and making you feel that? It does deliver on that. If you're in that group, then I really think you're going to like this. It's a recommendation from me. If you're in the group that wanted maybe a story and compelling characters that you could really get on board with when it comes to your decision making, and you don't really want that frustrating wrap up, which I thought was frustrating, then you're not going to like this show at all. So the goal of this channel is to just try to lead you guys in the right direction. And essentially, if you see what this show is and you read the summary, you're probably going to know if it's for you or not. And I think the quality's there for that fan group. Otherwise, it didn't quite speak to me as someone who doesn't usually like shows like this. And before I give you my score, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like these Netflix reviews, come back. We're doing more, and I'm working on my studio right now. Even though it has its moments, frustrating character decisions keep this show from thriving. My score is a 5 out of 10, a 50%. Would love to see where you guys fall. Not a huge recommendation for me for fans outside of this genre, but if you enjoy a show like this, then you're definitely going to get something from it. Thank you so much for watching this video and this Netflix review. I need you guys in the comments down below. What are you thinking about that ending specifically? Not talking spoilers, obviously, but how you feeling about it? I'd love to know all of those things. You guys are the best. Stay tuned. My favorite shows of the year so far. That's the next video on this channel. All right, guys.